All right, everyone, let's get started. Again, thanks for attending. My name is Jason Lehman. I'm the marketing team lead here at Fishbowl Solutions. And today I'm going to spend 30 minutes or so discussing Fishbowl's Enterprise Bachelor and Workflow Solution Set components for Oracle Web Center content. At the end, I'll share some more information on where you can get links and whatnot to the products I'm going to cover today. So all that will be included when we send out the link to the recording as well. So here's our agenda, though, for today's discussion. So I'll start off by giving you a little bit of background on Fishbowl, who we are and what we do. I'll then provide an overview of the business problems that organizations are facing today in regards to our subject, which is batch loading content into Web Center, and then utilizing workflows to help manage and automate business processes and the workflows that they support. I'll provide use cases for each solution and share how some organizations are currently using those solutions to automate some of those processes. So I'm going to start off with Enterprise Batch Loader. That'll be the first half of the webinar, and then Workflow Solution Set will be the last half. So with that, quickly, who's Fishbowl Solutions? So Fishbowl is a recognized leader in the Oracle Web Center space. We've been doing this for a long time, about 14 years now, designing, implementing, and supporting content management and portal systems throughout North America and EMEA. This includes delivering value-added software components, including the ones I'm going to discuss today, for Oracle Web Center. And recent successes within the last 2 years, we've implemented such solutions to over hundreds of customers. So we were very proud to be an officially certified Oracle Web Center content and portal specialized partner. In fact, I believe we were the first partner to get that certification. And we're also very proud that our solutions have won some awards, including the ones I've listed here. So Fishbowl is known for really providing that value-add software and services for Oracle Web Center. We've extended these capabilities in many areas. Our current focus is the products and services that I've listed here. This really helps Fishbowl kind of differentiate itself from a Web Center partner standpoint. These solutions include mobile ECM, where we've extended Oracle Web Center capabilities to the iPhone, the iPad, and Android devices. And additionally, we've had packaged offerings for enterprise portal and corporate intranets, helping those organizations build and really deploy such sites quickly, so helping them really take advantage of their Web Center investment. We also have products like our Google Search Appliance Connector listed here, which brings the power of Google Search to Web Center. And we also offer packaged services offerings to help organizations upgrade Oracle Web Center Content 11G. Including those companies that need to migrate content, configure their metadata and profiles, and really help support that system going forward. Wanted to also quickly mention the various consulting services that Fishbowl provides. We've been known as a full-service Web Center partner for a very long time. We really established our roots as a go-to partner on the Web Center content side, and mostly on the document and web content management side. And we've since branched out to provide services for really all the Web Center content components, including document imaging and records management. I mentioned a little bit about portals, so we have solutions for that, solutions and services for that. And to really help augment some of those services, we've formed some expertise around ADF and SOA, as well as BPM, really helping organizations leverage those technologies to ease their overall integrations. So first, and it's also important for everyone to understand, there are many different options to load content. There are the standard check-ins that most of us do pretty much every day. There are options using WebDAV and Windows Explorer, and Fishbowl has many different value-add content loading options as well, including the one that I'm going to talk to you about today. For example, we have a product called CloudMotor, which we actually just released the latest version for, that enables users to select, preview, and tag content. Check that into Web Center. Popular use case for that product is digital assets such as pictures. And with that product, users get a similar Apple image viewer application that makes it really easy to load those digital assets into Web Center. We also have a product called WebBased Batch Loader that provides a web-based interface to Bachelor content into WebCenter. And that one requires users to configure jobs kind of on demand. So kind of as these jobs come up, they can schedule them and configure them, and then use that to migrate or load large content into WebCenter. The other option is the one I'm going to talk about today. It's going to really form the basis of our discussion for the next 10 minutes or so, and that is Enterprise Bachelor, which provides true batch load capabilities. And it's really designed to be run as a service where an administrator schedules the jobs, tells it the directory to watch, and then batch imports just happen automatically. But you're probably saying to yourself as well, Oracle already has an out-of-the-box batch loading utility. Most of you are probably familiar with Archive or Replicator. So really, where does Fishbowl's Enterprise Batch Loader fit in? Well, it fits in firstly by, and I wanted to show here is a little feature comparison regarding Enterprise Batch Loader and the Oracle Batch Loader. So as you can see here, both systems are designed to easily load thousands of documents. Your only need is, so if your only need is to do large content loads, maybe just a few times a year, Oracle's Batch Loader will do just fine for that. However, as you start to consider other features, including the ability to ensure that batch load files enter a workflow perhaps, or you can run the system on an external server to optimize your processes and your standalone and get the benefits of a standalone application, and then really delegate which folders to where that content is going to be coming into and which folders to watch, and then continue to do that systematically, then Fishbowl's Enterprise Batch Loader may be a better fit and provide more overall value. Even if you consider metadata mapping. So Enterprise Batch Loader does not have a GUI, traditional GUI for metadata mapping, but admins and power users could map system metadata to WebCenter metadata. And there are many more features for you to consider as you think about comparing the two, about the most efficient ways to load content in WebCenter, and I'll cover that here in just a few slides. But really, let's take a step back and look at some of the problems that you might be facing with integrating content throughout your organization. One of the most prevalent problems that we've heard from customers is really about the amount of different and disconnected data sources we really all have. We have data and content being created by ERP systems, CRM systems, and CAD systems. It's really difficult to integrate those systems and link the data and content between them. And with all these systems, that just means that users have to spend a lot of time looking for information, not always sure which system they should be accessing to find the data that they need. And really, it's the inability to find this data that delays decision-making capabilities. And at the end of all this, we're kind of left with silos of information that information can't get adequately shared across our organizations. So the problems I'll mention here continue to proliferate across all organizations. So organizations with these business problems, like this manufacturer that I'm going to profile here quickly, this manufacturer of control valves and regulators, they've turned to Enterprise Batch Loader for some of those problems. And this particular customer had a problem with integrating their Oracle e-Business Suite system with their CAD system, and then consolidating all that information and moving it to WebCenter. With Enterprise Batch Loader, now this customer, they've really been able to integrate those systems and then serve up that content to WebCenter, which led to increased enterprise information sharing. They don't have to worry about programming, maintaining programming to integrate those systems and get the content from one system to another. They don't have to worry about performing these kind of one-off check-ins all the time when their content pool in these other systems needed to be checked in WebCenter. They just really leverage Enterprise Batch Loader to schedule jobs and watch a directory where this content goes into and automatically move that to WebCenter. That's just one example that I wanted to share with you quickly on customers that have turned to Enterprise Batch Loader to help automate content loading. So as an overview, what is Enterprise Batch Loader exactly? So at a high level, it's really a value-add Oracle Web Center component that we've provided to provide robust content loading capabilities. It's really intended to be installed and run on a server, and it utilizes a preprocessor capability to watch a folder on the directory, create the necessary files, and then load them into Oracle Web Center content. It can also be configured to load content directly into a workflow so that the correct review and approvals all get facilitated after it gets checked into Web Center. But it's really been designed to help integrate the many data sources and systems that we all have in our organizations. really taking that data and creating the necessary file formats to load them into WebCenter and then map any metadata. So by using Enterprise Bachelor, organizations will be able to consolidate and centralize their high-value enterprise information all into Oracle WebCenter. And and having this product out now, we've had various iterations of the product for many years. There are many use cases for Enterprise Bachelor, but the ones I've listed here have been the most popular. They really have included ERP integrations, CAD integrations, large volume migrations, and document imaging. So it's really by providing that robust integration point to connect multiple business systems and ensure that content is stored in WebCenter, where Enterprise Bachelor is able to consolidate, really truly provides the most value to consolidate that information and expedite access. So I mentioned the use cases. The most common one has been integrating ERP systems like JD Edwards and PeopleSoft with WebCenter. And really that use case means that it takes the information that those systems produce and just simply moves it to WebCenter. And there are the different file formats that are output by those systems. Enterprise Bachelor is able to watch the directory for those types of file formats, convert them to the necessary file format, and then just move them over to WebCenter. It's also able to integrate with CAD systems, so computer-aided design and drafting, which those systems produce very large files containing product drawings and schematics. And the key with those systems is, again, it's a different format. You want to get those formats into perhaps like a PDF so that they can be accessed and viewed across an organization. But really the key with those integrations is expediting access to information that typically cannot be served up enterprise-wide, as access to ERP and CAD systems is heavily restricted. It's also commonly used to consolidate information for large volume content migrations, and document imaging is a good example of that, for when you're converting hard copy documents that may be mailed out excuse me, and imaged before they leave the office. And Enterprise Bachelor can convert those images to PDFs as well. But really it's a matter of taking the content that you want imaged or stored in WebCenter into an enterprise-wide system and format that would enable that enterprise-wide viewing. So how does it all work? Well, the component Enterprise Bachelor sits on top of WebCenter, and it includes what's called a preprocessor, which can be customized. This preprocessor is configured to watch a directory on the server where the this third-party system outputs files, including XML or a text file or batch load file, just to watch that directory, and when those files enter that folder, it'll read it and start the conversion. So it watches this folder, reads the content of the files found in that directory, and then converts those files from their native format into what's a batch load file containing the necessary information that Oracle WebCenter needs to perform the check-in, the update, the delete, and accept, etc. So then Enterprise Bachelor is really it's invoked to read that file, the batch load file, and take the appropriate action specified by the preprocessor. This typically means it will take the metadata specified in the batch load file or BLF file and check that native file designated in Oracle. So kind of at a high level, that's how it works. It's really 3 steps in the process after configuration, but the key with all this is it's a pretty much an unintended system. So I wanted to point out some additional features of Enterprise Bachelor. Thus far, you've heard me talk about its configurable preprocessor, a watch directory, metadata mapping, and so on. The other features I wanted to mention was, one of the other ones I wanted to mention quickly was throttling. This has been a very key feature for a lot of companies. And in Enterprise Bachelor, this is a true-false field configuration that can be turned on or off. So for throttling, if it's set to true, Enterprise Bachelor will query the content server before doing any actions to see if the number of works in progress items that exist in the content server exceed that value of, I believe it's max items allowed in queue. If so, Enterprise Bachelor will kind of go to sleep for that amount of time specified in the sleep time in seconds setting, configuration and then try to perform another action. If the work in process items that exist in the content center are fewer than the max out items allowed, it just goes ahead and does the check-in, update, and delete. So again, throttling is included. It's a key feature for most companies. Another one is scheduling. Jobs can be scheduled. So for large content migrations, for example, organizations can choose to do these during non-peak hours. During any of that content loading, if errors occur, Enterprise Batch Loader can email administrator upon any of those errors. And currently, this is one of the reasons we ask what versions of WebCenter content you're running. We do offer support for 10 and 11G and even 7.5. So let's quickly summarize the benefits of Enterprise Batch Loader. Well, first and foremost, it will help you and your organization consolidate your enterprise information and all the different sources that you have data from, and make sure those get into Oracle Web Center content. And by doing that, you'll be able to leverage one central repository for your enterprise information. It also requires minimal administration, so you don't need to log into Web Center each time you want to use it. Simply configure it to run, and the watch directory will just continue to monitor a folder on the network of folders for files, and when they're there, it'll just read them, convert them, and check them into Web Center. So it basically runs unattended. So the amount of time administering it will be minimal. It's also highly configurable. So the preprocessor can be configured to read and convert XML files, text files, and others into a batch load file, which is required to load the content into Web Center. And really, overall, getting that content into the system as quickly and easily as possible will help your organization increase and even further leverage the value of Oracle Web Center content. So I wanted to also talk a little bit about our last customer success with the Enterprise Batch Loader. This company is an electrical equipment manufacturer who had to integrate their CAD system and ensure that the content needed for review could be done outside those CAD systems. So I talked a little bit about access to those systems is very restricted. There's not this universal file format that anyone can look at. And this customer has been using Enterprise Batch Loader to integrate their various CAD systems with Web Center, getting the content from those systems into a format so it can be checked into Web Center. And it's really helped eliminate a lot of the labor hours that were required to maintain the hard copies of drawings. And now they've been able to get those contents checked in, have an electronic version, and it's really saved them a lot of time across their implementation. So as we move on to talk about workflow solution set, I wanted to make sure that we kind of take a step back and look at the different types of workflows. So the poll question is, maybe we haven't gotten started, maybe you're confused about where to get started, what systems to use. So there are business process workflows and content-based workflows. So we're kind of, in this slide, kind of differentiating the two here and comparing the two. So for business process workflows, which may be facilitated by Oracle Business Process Management, or BPM, or maybe Oracle's Business Process Execution Language, or BEPL, these workflows are triggered by business-based events. So they're typically a combination of automated and human-based workflows for such things as processing invoices or time and expense documents. And they're mostly multi-step. Contrast that with a content-based workflow, and that's where Fishbowl's workflow solution set really comes into play, where it helps automate the type of workflows already found in Oracle Web Center content. These workflows are typically 1, 2, or 3 steps, and they're for such things as approving web content or publishing a press release. But they can also be built out for such things as capital expenditure requests, using the combination of simple forms and workflows to enter, deliver, review, and approve, or reject such requests. So that's kind of just a comparison. So think of business process workflows more on the BPM side, and content-based really what's included with Oracle Web Center content. So with that kind of some background info, I wanted to show a screenshot of another kind of an example. In this case, a form for business process change notice. As you can see, it's pretty basic form, simple checkboxes and drop-downs, as well as text boxes where users can enter information. Users simply fill out this form and they submit it into a workflow for review. So that's just one example of how a form could be used to facilitate a workflow. So what are some of the problems faced by organizations when it comes to workflows and the workflows existing in WebCenter content? Well, many times workflow is thought to be too complex, and therefore companies don't know where to begin. Additionally, companies like yours might be looking for that complete, comprehensive audit trail for content workflow, and they can't find one. Such things as saving accept or approve, accept or reject comments to include in the audit trail. And for those companies that are using workflows, they're still having a hard time finding, getting that real-time view into which step the workflow is currently in. So they're still turning to email to ask questions about their particular request or content that they may be looking to publish or revise and what step it is in the process. And really this all leads to the inability to really fully leverage a very strong capability of WebCenter, which is its content-based workflows. And these workflows are included as a feature, so not being able to fully leverage them probably means that organizations like yours aren't able to fully realize their investment in WebCenter. So one company, in this case, a national newspaper company, was having similar problems with their workflows, and so they turned to Workflow Solution Set and Fishbowl Solutions for help. And I wanted to mention quickly that Fishbowl does provide workflow services as well. So as the customer turned to us and they really came to us with their problem, we really wanted to first understand their current process and what they wanted out of new process. So in doing that, we kind of took a look at that system, re-architected the system to improve that ease of use, and then better leverage the inherent workflow capabilities of WebCenter. We then better defined their capital expenditure request process and notification process, and we did that through the Workflow Solutions component. Now we've brought their process together in an easy-to-use interface. We've Workflow Solution Set, within that there's a we've created a we've created a dashboard into their capital expenditure request forms and workflow process, and this dashboard allows users to see where the form is in the workflow process, attach related documents to the workflow, and then kind of participate in inline discussions. All these revisions are made available in WebCenter and can be found through search. And to make search even easier for this customer, we created a kind of a customized capital expenditure request search interface. And the results with this customer, they've been able to reduce the burden on IT, reduce the amount of time their executives are spending deciding how and where to spend their money. And now, for example, their Treasury Department can quickly report on where money is being spent. So just another example of how a customer is leveraging Workflow Solution Set. So what does the Workflow Solution Set component actually consist of? Well, as stated earlier, WebCenter content includes a lot out-of-the-box workflow capabilities. Fishbowl really looked, so when we look at those capabilities with any of our value-add components, we kind of look at where can we fill some gaps. So we did that on the workflow side as well. First and foremost, we wanted to make it simple, so we provided any of the settings, a very simple user interface to configure the 9 combined components. And then overall, with Workflow Solution Set, organizations are able to kind of streamline their implementations while improving the overall user experience. So I mentioned the 9 components. They're listed here on the right of the screen. Let's take a closer look at those now. First one is Workflow History, and this is a screenshot of what that looks like. So utilizing this feature enables organizations to view the full history of the workflow. Workflow History delivers this detailed and permanent history of all the workflows, including any rejection comments, which are otherwise lost. So that's one of the keys here is rejection comments are lost after the workflow has been rejected, so those go away, so they're not auditable. Users may also edit the columns seen in Workflow History and other reports through the Configure Workflow History columns interface, which we're showing here. So the second one is Workflow Search, which delivers insight into all content in a workflow along with the number of days it's been at each step. This is really powerful, because then you can take action on those workflows that need to be pushed through. A third feature is Workflow in Queue, which delivers a detailed view and quick access to content in that queue through a customizable interface. So the interface is above. This can be customized simply by dragging and dropping fields from one column to another for those fields that you want to display. And the last one is Approve with Comments, which allows the users to enter comments on an item upon approval, not just rejection. So I wanted to mention again that these accept and reject comments are saved so organizations would be able to find them in the workflow history. So those are the 4 I wanted to show screenshots of. The workflow solution set also includes 5 more features listed here, including the custom email notifications, which customizes a basic out-of-the-box workflow, Oracle workflow email, so you can give explicit instructions based on criteria such as the workflow step or reviewer. Updating the release date, which updates the content release date, so it reflects the date the content is actually approved and released from workflow, not just the original check-in date. You can customize the review pane through this graphic interface, and then provide step-specific instructions or links and actions. Accept, reject an email, so accept or reject items directly from an email. And then Workflow Timeout Helper, which really helps allow easy implementations of timeout scripts that can include weekdays and business hours. So we've talked a lot about the workflow gaps that Workflow Solution Set fills with its 9 features, but really it's the true values that it helps organizations further extend upon the out-of-the-box capabilities that WebCenter provides from a workflow perspective. This includes the ability to providing intuitive interfaces, and then really building out and configuring their various workflows. And all these features are really combined to help increase the overall insight that organizations need to have within their workflows, ensuring that they're all functioning efficiently, bottlenecks can be identified, and then auditing is really comprehensive. So if you haven't started with WebCenter workflows yet, or if you've already have and you're looking to do more, Workflow Solution Set can help you realize the full value of WebCenter content workflows. And that same electrical equipment manufacturer that we profiled earlier with Enterprise Bachelor is also using Workflow Solution Set with WebCenter. And in this use case, it's for their non-conformance issues that they were having. So when problems with parts occurred, the company wanted the ability to escalate issues based on who manufactured the part and what was the severity of the issue. Before, they had really had a paper-based process that was slow, but it was familiar to employees, so that's why it was kind of just sticking around as the process they were going to follow. But because it was paper-based, it was hard for the company to really measure the various steps in the overall process. So with Workflow Solution Set now, the company was able to resolve their non-conformance issues in a matter of days instead of weeks. Workflows are configured so that depending on the manufacturer of the part in question or the severity of the issue, the proper people in the organization get notified, and then this process to submit the form is now electronic, but it really emulates the paper-based form that they were using before to ensure that familiarity is continued forward. Overall then, additionally, for the benefits, they've really been able to have this full audit trail workflow activity, which they've looked at as a way to step back and analyze how can they make the overall process even better. So, okay, let's kind of wrap it up here as I'll quickly summarize our discussion regarding Enterprise Bachelor and Workflow Solution Set for Oracle Web Center content. So with Enterprise Bachelor, again, we talked about the problems that organizations have with integrating all the content within their enterprise into one system and then automating how they do that. Enterprise Bachelor provides really this robust batch loading capability that includes pulling data from other sources and then moving them to WebCenter to ensure this enterprise access. And this whole thing can be configured as kind of a standalone process that can run automatically. Workflow Solution Set fills those functionality gaps within WebCenter workflows while really truly enabling organizations to get the most out of their workflows that they're utilizing. Has an intuitive user interface for configuration, helping organizations get started, while also providing those other capabilities that we talked about to really streamline the management of the workflows and really take that comprehensive approach to do so. So I want to thank you for joining today, but also quickly mention that a recording of this webinar, again, will be made available soon, and while also mentioning that this webinar is the second in a series of summer webinars that profile some of our most popular components for Web Center process automation. Our next webinar is Thursday, September 5th, and you can find a link to register for that webinar by following the link that I've included on this page. There you'll find our webinar recordings, so including this one and the other ones that we've given throughout the series so far. You can find those recordings there. I'll take a look at the questions in a moment, but I think we're going to sign off. If any questions were typed in the box, we'll respond to those kind of offline after the webinar. You'll be emailed directly with any answers to questions that you might have asked. But if you're looking for more information regarding Enterprise Batch Loader or Workflow Solution Set, please visit our website. I've included some links to information here. Or you can email us at info@fishbowlsolutions.com or call 952-465-3400. Thank you for attending.